Hello everybody, welcome back to another weekly market review for F45Trading.com. This week we're going to be discussing October 18th to the 23rd. We're creeping up towards the end of October here, halfway through, and markets are still kind of giving us some chop here, not really going in any particular direction. We had a bit of an up week last week, albeit a little bit messy. We had Tuesday and Thursday of last week straight up, and then Wednesday we had a little pullback, Friday a little more pullback, and now we're kind of sitting in this range here to open up at the time of this recording here for Sunday evening. We are just about a half an hour before New York midnight at the time of this recording. So again, looking at the US dollar, we're in this tight range right in here, and we're still seeing this. We had price shoot out of it briefly, which was giving me a little bit of hope that we're going to see continuation to the upside, only for it to fall right back down into the middle of this range. And then we had these lows come in here last Monday, Tuesday, and bounced off of that. So we have a little bit of price inefficiency up above these highs in here and coming back down and slamming into the lows right in here, which I think price could stretch up to this week. So I like how we moved off of this area in here. It came down a little bit more than what I wanted to see, but at the end of the day, it still respected a pretty major low. You can see the body of this candle, and that we have a little bit of wick in here on the Monday of the week. But all respected a pretty significant area, and we saw a nice bounce off of that. So this week I'd like to see continued upside, at least to close in the range in here, and 94.30 to whoops, grabbed the wrong thing. 94.30 to 94. I would even say 94.40, somewhere in that location. I think to the upside, may not get up to that high, but definitely 94.30 I think could be in the cards for this week, which would take us a move above. Grab this guy here, take us a move above these highs in here and these highs over in here, run all of those stops out, and ultimately hopefully finish higher. That's what I would like to see. What would negate that, obviously, if we just, and again, we have some pretty major consolidation in here, is if we just kept banking in here and banking in here and banking, and price did not want to get above this high here, there would be the possibility that it could slip lower. But I really don't want to see price go any lower than about the 93, right about 90, well, you know what, folks, I'd say about 93.40. We could stretch down a little bit and possibly retag back into this daily low back here. I think it's pretty slim. I'd like to see this high and these highs in here act as support. So really the low of Friday's last candle there, I'm hoping to see the low. We could certainly swing down one more time Monday, Tuesday, possibly, and tag back into this area in here, but I think I'd like to see prices stay higher. And like I say, I'd give it to about 93.40 on the downside before I'd cut, change my opinion as to where we'd be going. If we go lower than that, then I think there could be a chance that they may want to run down here ultimately. But I think there's a good shot we're going to get a run. Could be a short one, could be just a nice one-day candle that puts us up in this range here. I'm not anticipating anything above 94.40 on the week. If we get it, great. If not, no big deal. Again, I'm not really banking a lot on where we're currently at right now, especially everything tied with the US dollar. And that's all the major pairs that I focus on. I don't usually do a lot of exotics or anything like that. And some of you could be saying, Steve, the exotic market, the Aussie yen market's just going crazy right now. You got to get all over that. You know what? Sure, drop me a line, put a comment in this video. That'd be great. I'll have a look at it because, right now, everything tied with the US pairs is just kind of consolidating. We're in a bit of a range. And it's going to stay that way until after the US election on the 3rd, which is creeping up very shortly. It's in about 2 weeks on Tuesday. I'm hoping after that, then we're going to see a bit of market direction, and we'll have a little bit more continuity to the trades. Because if you look at some of the other markets, mainly the EurUsd is following pretty close to what the dollar is doing. GbpUsd is doing whatever it wants to do here. Aussie is starting to kind of get in line, in sync again, but it's still not quite there yet. It's a little out of sync. And a UsCad, of course, is, again, just sort of, we're just sort of chopping sideways. Very similar to the US dollar, but definitely not symmetrical in any way, shape, or form. So I'm hoping that we do get a breakout of this range eventually in the next couple of weeks, and I'm hoping for that. Until then, like I say, keep your trades short and tight, and in and out 20-30 pips for the majority of the trade. Maybe keep a little bit on to see if you get a little bit of a bigger range, but if you can do that a couple times a week, that's mission accomplished, I think, here for the remainder of the month. Okay, real quickly here, EurUsd. So if we do see that fall off in the dollar, you can see here Euro, again, we're right back in this consolidation, but the Euro has really achieved to the downside more so than what the US dollar has achieved to the upside. And you can see that we're right in the middle of this range and failing to break above those candles there. Whereas EurUsd, we have broken below that same consolidation, the lows of that same consolidation area. So certainly I believe there's further downside to the EurUsd, although it could be a little bit muted. I would like to see if we can get down to the 116.65 level, to 116.60. That's 40 pips away. I can't see them having a hard time doing that. Keep in mind, though, there is certainly the possibility that they could shoot price back up above here. I do see another area right in here, and there's a real continuity you see with the highs of these candles in here, the body high, candle high, candle low there. There is a chance that we could come back up into this range here. Now, do we shoot down into the 116.65 and then go up? That's something that I'll definitely be looking for to see what kind of level of support that this offers. Or price could do the exact opposite. They could leave this open, shoot this thing up into here Monday, Tuesday, and then fall over. But you just got to make sure you have this on your chart. So if you see price starting to run the opposite way instead of going lower, or if it has run lower and then it starts going the other way very violently, that can be your target to the upside. But I think there is a very good chance, I'm going to put it on the chart, that price could run up to the 117.80 levels. So that's why I want to just keep that on there. And then that way it won't catch you off by surprise if you start to see price run the other way. If it's not going lower and it starts to and just keeps pushing higher, what are they reaching for? More than likely the 117.80, and you might be able to get a trade-off with that theory in mind, okay? But for the most part, not a lot in Euro that I'm looking at this week. We're still in this this tight range in here. So to the downside right there, if we start to break lower, to the upside up here, if we start to break higher, that's about all I can say on Euro. GBP is doing nothing. I mean, it's just banking back and forth and back and forth. We had a nice little run rate in here for a few hundred pips, and then ever since then we've just been staying, and then price is just it's down 100 pips, it's up 100 pips, it's down 100 pips, it's up 100 pips. It's staying in this tight range, and I honestly don't know. To me, honestly, to the downside looks more probable, but that would require the US dollar obviously to push higher. It would also require Euro GBP to push higher as well. But I don't see that in Euro GBP's future. We're just chopping slowly and steadily lower. So I'm anticipating more of this, which means I'm anticipating more of the same chop sideways on GbpUsd. We hit some major resistance up into here when the prices slammed back into this old level back in here. And so far it's made a pretty miserable attempt to get higher. We had the Monday of the high of the week last week, and ever since Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, trading lower, but really consolidating lower more than trading lower is what they're doing. So again, I do see prices lower here. I'd like to see that. We'd have to see a decent push on US dollar to get that, but I'm not personally thinking that GBP is going to run higher, but anything's possible. Let me look at the wick in here from last week, from last Wednesday's trading. I mean, just about took out the high of the week there, and it was almost the low of the week, all in one day. And that was a 200 pip range candle. So definitely don't be marrying anything. Don't get into a trade and be stubborn and say, well, no, I'm going to just keep on to this thing. You don't want something running against you 200 pips, that's for sure. So apart from that, I don't have anything else to say about GbpUsd. Aussie, if we see a higher price run in dollar, we should see Aussie lower. However, again, same with the euro, not a lot of range to the downside that I'm seeing. I do see a little bit of an area to the upside where we could possibly run back up and tag back up into the 0.7150 level. We're currently at 0.7080. So could be a nice little pop up there for 70 pips or so. But again, we'd have to get retracement on the dollar. And does the dollar want to retrace after this move coming up? You know, I don't know. And Aussie has not been symmetrically outlined currently with the US dollar. It's kind of been doing its own thing. Yes, we did definitely fall off last week as the US dollar was slowly rising, and more so than euro. It achieved the target to the downside that I was looking for, well ahead of euro. So, whereas euro still, we haven't achieved the downside target yet. So Aussie, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. I see this little area above here. I think there's a possibility price is going to run back up there. As for more continuation to the downside, watch this level right here. If we see price starting to break below 70.40, then I think there could be a chance that they may want to run price down to this low down here. So you can watch for that. And if we get lower than that, then there's a whole price range in here where I could target. But we're nowhere near that yet. We got to see how this week develops, and I still think the chance lies or exists with running back up to the 0.7150. So Aussie's kind of right in the middle, guys. Definitely, like I said, don't be marrying any trade. If you can get in and get out for 10, 20, 30 pips, do it and be done. USCAD. Again, we've seen a nice decline on USCAD. We made the lows back in August and a nice rally higher and a failure to go anywhere else. Even the US dollar has rallied more than the Canadian dollar. So I'm not too sure if, I mean, there's no strength to the Canadian dollar right now. Yes, crude oil is definitely going to keep the price up a little bit, as crude currently trades around the what is crude trading at? 40s, low 40s, I was going to say mid 30s, around 40s. That could possibly giving a little bit of strength to the Canadian dollar, which is why we're not seeing USCAD go higher, because if crude oil is strong and the Canadian dollar is stronger, USCAD is going to resist going higher. If the US dollar is going higher, it's going to more so consolidate, if not even drop a little bit. So that's just due to the strength of the Canadian dollar, obviously. But there is none. There's zero strength to the Canadian dollar, so I don't know why this pair is in lockstep in sync with the US dollar right now. So just be careful. Again, we had a big sell-off, lows on Monday last week, and then a short rally into Thursday, and then Friday really sold off last week, and we hit some major resistance up into here. So watching the US dollar, if we do see higher prices in the dollar, we should also see higher prices in US CAD. Now I do like this right here. I'm going to point this out because we've got these highs right here. This area right up here interests me on US CAD, but we got to see some major movement out of the dollar for that to happen. And right now, all we've done has been trading in a range. We came lower, taking all of the sell stops. We had a brief run higher, taking the buy stops above this short-term high in here and here, and then only for it to fall right back into the range. Swept under these lows here, taking the sell stops, and now we're making a slight recovery back up. But is this the low, or are they going to make another run lower to try and take out these guys here? You know, I think the play to the US dollar is still going to go higher this week, so it could push US CAD up. And if you can see price breaking above this high here and this high here, and I'll just dial this in a little bit more and give you a price. If you see price going above 132.80, there is a chance then I think that we could see possibly in the next couple of weeks price all the way up here on US CAD. So you could plan for that. But right now where it's currently at, you know, we could go lower and sink back into this range in here. So I'm watching to see this guy here. If we do see some symmetry again with the US dollar, maybe there could be a possibility to get in on a long trade. But this is just going south. I mean, we basically, this to me looks like we should make another leg lower on any other day. But again, because we're so close to this election, price I think is going to continue to stay in a range-bound environment, which means we're probably just going to go right back into the middle of the range, which means it's going to get sucked back up in here. And after it does that, it's going to come back down again and go back up, and so on and so forth for the next couple of weeks anyway. Okay. Finally, crude oil. We had a lot of chop last week. I think there's a possibility that we're going to come swinging back up and pop up into the 42.35 levels. I'm watching for that, possibly even higher up into the low 43s. I'm not bullish on crude oil, and you can see why. Obviously, we had a nice run up into here, after the lows in the spring, but since then we've been doing absolutely nothing on crude oil. I think it's going to go lower. You guys know my thoughts on crude oil, and I'm still not trading this. And I just released to my membership group today that my thoughts on crude oil going long term, so I'm going to leave it at that, and they can have the benefit of that. Well, you guys are going to be left to guess every single week, but I do think we're going to see lower prices in crude oil, but ultimately I believe that will change, and we're going to get all over that when it does. So nothing for crude oil, and gold is the same boat that the US dollar's in. It's waiting. We're in a holding pattern, folks. That's it. We're just waiting and waiting and waiting. This right here, right? So you can see this. It's just a wedge pattern. Nothing serious. You can see that. We're just coiling up and coiling up and tightening up and tightening up. It's consolidating. Eventually, we're going to get a massive release like you see here, where price just springboarded up. Do we springboard up or down? Obviously, that will tell. Time will tell here after the US election. We're going to know exactly where it's going to go. Be prepared for a fake out, though. Don't be surprised, and this is kind of what my thoughts are. Don't be surprised if we see a fake out on gold and see price make an artificial run lower under these lows here, rebalance off of the old highs back in here, and then make another push higher. That's what I'm anticipating long-term for gold. So we'll see how that pans out after this U.S. election. But that's it, guys. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of analysis. S&P 500, I just wanted to say one thing really quickly about that, and then I'm going to end this video. I think we're probably going to see higher prices. The stimulus package is going to eventually hit for the U.S., and they're going to dump it into the markets and into these indices, and we're going to see price probably eclipse this high here. But again, you know, how much higher do we start screaming after the election, or, you know, at the election day? I don't know, but I'm anticipating them to be making new highs going into that election, and then I don't know what's going to happen from there. I'm not going to call. I mean, this is pretty crazy back here. We could easily see this in a day, for God's sakes. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. Again, keep your stops tight, folks. It's going to get ugly out there before it gets better, and you don't want to be into a negative position that you, God forbid, don't have a stop in. So just keep them tight. I like this higher. I really do. We made a sharp drop last Thursday, and then it failed to go lower. Friday it didn't go anywhere, and now we're starting out the beginning of the week here. I like higher prices. We could rebalance off of this guy down in here on the October 6th. Watch the highs of that candle there and the high of the candle the day after it. Could see some sensitivity if they drop down again, but I like higher prices on the indices. So S&P, Dow, and NASDAQ, I think we're going to see more upside continuation up until the election. Certainly for this week and possibly into next week. So the closer we get to that election, though, I'm not touching anything until the markets do their thing, and then you know, we can get into them from there. So. The only thing else I got to say is just watch the calendar this week. We've got a couple of high-impact news events for Euro, especially on Friday, and Canadian dollar on Wednesday. I'm not going to go through this because I've already spoken long enough about what I think is going to happen. And really, not much, guys. It's chop. It's really tight. It's ugly for the next couple of weeks. So I'm not going to be giving you guys any stellar trades or anything to look like at, unfortunately, until all this is over. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them in the chat. Share this, like this post, give it a thumbs up, share it out to your friends, tell some others, tell your neighbors, tell your mother, tell your father. I would really appreciate that. Any help and any love on that end would be absolutely much appreciated. And that's all I got to say. Have a great week, everybody. And to all my members, I will see you in the chat room tomorrow.